Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Nicodemus Kane. Today is November the 23rd of 2020. November the 23rd of 2020. Wow. Okay. Or 2022. Sheesh. Yeah, we were just talking about that yesterday. My wife actually asked me, how did it get to be Thanksgiving already? And I said, well, day by day by day went by and we didn't notice. And now I suddenly realize it's the 23rd. Wow. Yeah, we've blasted through November. I get it. I lost a week of my life there, taking care of my mother, and running back and forth to her house. And we're still not done. I have to go back in today. We're still trying to deal with paperwork, and we're trying to get a hold of a lawyer, but of course everybody's on vacation. Everybody's on vacation. We actually found that out last week. A lot of the people we talked to said that those people that weren't on vacation last week, because everybody took a vacation last week too, were definitely taking a vacation this week. And those people that aren't taking vacations this week or last week will definitely be taking vacations in December. So this is the worst time for us to try to do any of this, um, but it's got to get done. So we have both asked and prayed to the Father to help us out on this endeavor because it has been a lot. Um. Anyways, we have to kind of jump into Isaiah. I almost said Isaiah. I'm so used to saying Isaiah. But no, Jeremiah. We have to kind of jump into Jeremiah 2 today because this is a big one. This is 2 whole pages. We haven't had a chapter this big in a while. So we have to get rolling on this, or else I'm not going to have any time whatsoever to be able to get through it, to talk about it the way that we do. So I may jump right into it. Let me go ahead and get my water ready. I'll tell you this much, my nose has been a little itchy this morning, which means I may sneeze. It's one of those things where it's like, I know I should blow my nose and get it over with, but I know as soon as I do that, I'm going to sneeze. I'm going to start sneezing, so I'm just going to make it worse. So I'm suffering through one bit of, what's the word, inconvenience, in order to avoid a larger inconvenience. Of course, I say that, and now my nose is starting to get to me. Oh, man. All right, let me take care of this, and then we will do Jeremiah 2. Hold on a second. Okay. I had to do it. I had to do it. I didn't want to do it, and I had to do it. And hopefully it will not flare up while we're talking. You never know, though. I'm definitely thinking that we have to get our air vents cleaned in the house, because as soon as the heater kicks on, it's I'm getting dust and nastiness coming up, and my nose has been going crazy over the past couple weeks. So, which we need to do anyways. Clean out your ducts, clean out your air ducts. And I'm pretty sure that our furnace that we had installed, just our new furnace that we had installed in July, I'm sure that it is 5 times better than the one that we had before, and it's probably kicking up everything that the old one didn't. But that's neither here nor there. That's just things happening in the house. Did I ever tell you guys about the old furnace? Oh, jeez. First time we ever turned it on, old gas powered furnace, and it looked like it was 1960s, 1970 ish, monstrosity that it had a problem with one of the firing mechanisms. I don't know what it was, and every time it would come on, almost every time it would come on, um, it wouldn't come on with the gas. It would fill up with gas, and then it would ignite, and there would be a big, huge pop, big, huge boom. Um, so much so that it would rattle the living room and the kitchen, and it was freak the dogs out. That was the super safe. Oh, super safe, sure. No, it was crazy. That's why we had to pull the trigger and get a new furnace, because man, it was scary. Anyways, Jeremiah 2. Like I said, this is pretty big, so we're gonna have to jump right into it. Moreover, the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Go and cry in the ears of Jerusalem, saying, Thus saith the Lord, I remember thee, the kindness of thy youth, the love of thine espousals, when thou wentest after me in the wilderness, in a land that was not sown. Israel was holiness unto the Lord, and the firstfruits of his increase. All that devour him shall offend. Evil shall come upon them, saith the Lord. Hear ye the word of the Lord, O house of Jacob, and all the families of the house of Israel. Okay, so that's a break right off the bat. So going back up to the top. Moreover, the word of the Lord came to me, saying, now remember, this is Jeremiah. As soon as God came to Jeremiah and was saying, I knew you before you were born. I sanctified you and I made you a prophet. Jeremiah said, I can't do this. I'm just a kid. And God said, don't say that. Don't worry about it. You go out there. You don't be afraid of what I'm going to tell you to say. Don't be afraid of how they treat you or judge you. You say what I want you to say, and they will not hurt you. They will not come against you. I give you the power and the ability to speak these things, to be over, what was it? Where's it at? I have this day set thee over the nations and over the kingdoms, to root out, to pull down, and to destroy, to throw down, to build, and to plant. I've given you that ability to be able to go out with your sword of the Spirit, which I always talk about. It's an offensive weapon. To go out with the sword of the Spirit and tell these people the truth. So this is Jeremiah, the kid, coming back around and telling the people this. Moreover, the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Go and cry in the ears of Jerusalem, saying, Thus saith the Lord, I remember thee, the kindness of thy youth, the love of thine espousals, when thou wentest after me in the wilderness, in a land that was not sown, when you decided you wanted to follow me because you saw all the miracles that I performed against the Egyptians, and you lasted through the wilderness. You didn't bitch and moan like everybody else did. You weren't out there creating golden calves. You weren't crying and arguing about food or water. You trusted the Lord. You went for 40 years, and your clothes didn't even tatter. Your shoes didn't wear out. And you trusted. And I remember you then. And I loved you then. And he still loves them, of course, but they've fallen away. Israel was holiness unto the Lord, and the firstfruits of his increase. All that devour him shall offend. Evil shall come upon them, saith the Lord. Anyone that comes against my people, the Lord will devour. That's what he says. Hear ye the word of the Lord, O house of Jacob, and all the families of the house of Israel. Now there is is it a colon? Is it a colon or a semicolon? It's a colon. We've talked about this before, which means this is what they need to hear from chapter 5 on, is what they need to hear. So, or verse 5, not chapter 5, verse 5. So verse 5. Thus saith the Lord, what iniquity have your fathers found in me, that they are gone far from me, and have walked after vanity, and are become vain? Neither said they, where is the Lord that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, that led us through the wilderness, through a land of deserts and of pits, through a land of droughts and of the shadow of death, through a land that no man passeth through, where no man dwelt. And I brought you into a plentiful country, to eat the fruit thereof, and the goodness thereof. But when ye entered, ye defiled my land, and made mine heritage an abomination. The priests said not, where is the Lord? And they that handle come on. Verse 8, let's try it again. The priests said not, where is the Lord? And they that handle the law knew me not. The pastors also transgressed against me, and the prophets prophesied against Baal, and walked after things that do not profit. That's some interesting stuff going on here. So, hear ye the word of the Lord, O house of Jacob, and all the families of the house of Israel. Hear this. This is to you that have fallen away from me. Thus saith the Lord. This is back up to verse 5. Thus saith the Lord, what iniquity have your fathers found in me, that they are gone far from me, and have walked after vanity, and are become vain? Surely our fathers have given us lies. We have inherited lies from our fathers, because our fathers have gone far from God. They have walked after vanity. They have become vain. They have walked away, stepped away from what God gave them. And because of that, the children, the grandchildren, the great-grandchildren, they are falling away as well. For surely we have inherited lies. It's not just the Gentiles that are saying it. It is everyone. Everyone is falling away because the lies have spread more and more and more. This has been like the number one thing that I have railed against since we've started doing this, is that all of the world is lies, and we have been pulled away from the ultimate truth for years upon years. We are talking centuries, and they have slowly formed these lies layer upon layer upon layer. I was watching a video yesterday, and they were what was it on? It was forgettable, I can tell you that much, but the message that I got out of it was the layering of lies. Is they layered one lie, and then it was like 20 years later they would put another layer on top of it, and they would put another layer on top of it, and they kept building this lie, so much so to the point to where you don't even remember what it was that happened 40, 60, 80 years ago. And we just acknowledge what the lie is as the truth now, because we have nothing else to base it on. And yet there are tiny little pieces of evidence to show that what's going on now isn't the truth, that there was something that was happening back in the past that we can't explain, but was there. But again, it has just been layered constantly. I saw a map today on Twitter. They were talking about the amount of supposed Native American land and how it had all disappeared since 1776, when the country was supposedly founded. And the map was completely red in 1776, and it just slowly but surely just dissolved from east to west. And I have said over and over again, how do we know that it was freedom we were gaining? Was it freedom we were gaining, or did somebody come here, conquer the people that were here, and then turn this nation into something else? Because the way that it looks, this country was not founded upon freedom. Freedom to be able to do whatever you wanted to. This country was founded on something else. And the track record of the country since 1776, if you strip away all that bullshit of, oh, we have to fight for our rights and we have to do this, do that, you get this underlying feeling that no, something came here, took this country over, and slowly but surely conquered this land. They didn't find this land. They didn't they didn't prepare their manifest destiny and go from east to west, slowly mapping the land. They had maps way before that. What they did was they conquered whatever was here, formed a country, then took it over. It was like a militarized campaign. That's what it looks like. It's not, it doesn't come off as freedom anymore. It comes off as some type of militaristic campaign in order to take over the land. Which again, if you've followed anything that I've done, and we've talked about the Native Americans not being what we think Native Americans are. We talk about the land that was here. There was a people here that had been here for a long time. You talk about the buildings that were probably here. We talk about Tartaria. We talk about all of these other things. We talk about the land of the plumed serpent. We talk about the Israelites fleeing to another land over an ocean. We talk about this land may actually be Egypt, for all we know. You put all of these things together and you get this understanding that they didn't come here across the sea to find a new world to live in. They came here to conquer it because they had already conquered the other continents. They already had them well in hand. They came here to conquer this land, to take this land over, to purposely kill the people that were here, to enslave the people that were here, to do something else here in America. It doesn't fit anymore. The story doesn't fit anymore. And all this stuff about the Constitution and Declaration of Independence and all that, it's very well written. And yes, it will give you total freedom if you let it. But the people that say that they wrote it, I don't think they wrote it. I think they stole it from the people that were here. I think the people that were here had their own Constitution, had their own Declaration of Independence, had their own freedom. And I think they just stole it. And they said, we're going to let the people think that they're free. And slowly but surely, we will strip away all their freedoms. It's either that or the good guys lost the war. I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know. It's very strange. But this is all the lies. Like I said, layer upon layer upon layer of lies. This is exactly what this is saying. Just going back to verse 5, I know I went on a tangent. What iniquities have your fathers found in me? Those fathers that you've had that slowly but surely have turned to evil, that they are gone far from me and have walked after vanity and become vain. Neither said they, where is the Lord that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, that led us through the wilderness, through a land of deserts and of pits, through a land of droughts and of the shadow of death, through a land that no man passed through, and where no man dwelt. Where is that Lord? They've never said that. They got comfortable with what they had, which is absolutely where we are now. When do we ever stop and talk about the God that brought the people out of Egypt? The God that performed all the miracles and said, I will choose you as my people, and I will pull you out of Egypt, and I will disassemble Egypt from this point on, and I will take you as a people, and I will cause you to go and kill all of these nations and tribes that kill their own children, that eat their own children, that do all of these terrible, wicked, despicable things. I will cause you to go through and clean the world up. And then some people just want to sit there and say, well, the God of the Old Testament is so cruel, and look what he did. All he ever did was cause people to die. And no, the Bible says, if you read it, he cleaned this mess up. Because if these people were allowed to continue, you wouldn't have any freedoms at all. The point that we're at right now is you wouldn't have this secret freedom, this freedom that they want you to think you have. You wouldn't have this, because if this stuff had not happened, if God had not caused the Israelites to flee from Egypt, to take over those lands, you would be in the ultimate Egyptian bondage right now. The Egyptian empire never would have fallen. And what would have happened is they would have taken over the world, and it would have become a one world order. And God would have probably wiped the world off the map before this point. But that's not what he did. He said, I will take you out of this nation that has enslaved you, and I will take you to a better place. And while I'm at it, I'm going to get rid of all these giants. I'm going to get rid of all these cannibals. I'm going to get rid of all this filth and garbage that is allowed to continue up till this point. And I know where this goes. It's one thing that not many people talk about, is that had he allowed that stuff to continue, this world would have fallen just as fast, if not faster, than it did in the days of Noah. He slowed it down a lot. He allowed this world to be able to exist, gave us the time so that we could understand what's going on in the world. Gave us the time so that we can write all these things down, spread this word to the world, so that at the end, when it's starting to fall apart again, which we're right back where we were before, there may not be giants, openly floating around in the world yet. We're right back to that point where he is saying, I need to raise up my army. And I need them to stand fast and stand firm and speak the truth, because from this point, there is no going back. That's where we are right now. Back then, whenever he pulled the Israelites out of Egypt, like I said, he had a chance to be able to wipe out those nations, to do something about it. Because he said never again. He said never again am I going to allow it to continue. That's what that was. That is not a cruel God. He gave you what you have now. He gave you the ability to have the freedom to be able to do whatever you want to do. It's an enslavement issue, is what it is. We would all be under Egyptian rule. You have to understand that. You have to look at the Bible in ways that nobody has taught you how to look at it before. There's an understanding here that we don't know, that we really have to dig into. Verse 7, and I brought you into a plentiful country to eat the fruit thereof, and the goodness thereof. But when ye entered, ye defiled my land, and made mine heritage an abomination. Which sounds about right. That's the vanity and greed of man. Which vanity is basically greed. I mean, if you really want to get into it, anytime they say vanity, they walked after vanity. It's greed. It's only following that for yourself. You know, when a woman is in beautifying herself in front of a vanity, no less. That's what they call it. They call it a vanity. when she's in there, you know, making herself up and doing all this stuff, is she really showing off for her husband, her boyfriend, whatever? Or is she doing it for herself? When a man goes in and shaves, puts on the nice suit, you know, the tie, the whole nonsense, gets the haircut, is he really doing it to present an image to the world? Or is he doing it for himself? It's vanity. It's greed. It's taking more in for yourself than it is giving out. It is vanity. It's one of the things a lot of people don't talk about either, is the Bible constantly talks about when you go out and you pray and you give to God and all this stuff, you are, what does some of them say? Shaving your head, shaving your beard. Shaving your head, shaving your beard, putting on the sackcloth, and going out humbling yourself, throwing ashes upon your head, throwing dust upon your head, making yourself as humble as possible, destroying your ego in order to talk to God, in order to pray to God, not eating, fasting, not giving yourself, your body, food, giving more of yourself than you take in. That is as far away from greed as possible, as far away from vanity as possible. There's something to that. You remember that next time you get all fancied up on Sunday mornings in your nice outfits, and you want to sit in the front rows you want to sit at the front pews at the church and think that you're doing exactly what God wills you to do. I'm not saying that you can't. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. You can go do whatever you want to do. Just remember that there are a lot of things that happen in this world that the Bible completely contradicts. Absolutely, completely contradicts. And we have been told one thing, and all we're trying to do is find the truth. I'm doing my best not to judge, even though I do it. Even though I know I do it. But there are things that just don't add up anymore. And maybe we need to start focusing on this stuff. Start figuring this stuff out. Because we've been doing it wrong for years. Surely we have inherited the lies of our fathers. What iniquity have our fathers found in God? Why did they go through all this stuff and follow after vanity? Just, think about it. Just it's there. It's there in your face if you really read this and really understand it. Verse 8, the priest said not, where is the Lord? And they that handled the law knew me not. The pastors also transgressed against me, and the prophets prophesied by Baal. and walked after things that do not profit. Baal is the old god of the Sumerians. He is the old god of the Egyptians. He he lines up with like Osiris and Ra, Zeus, the Greek. Um, what is it? Jupiter for the Romans. Is that right? But he lines up. This is Baal. This is the great bearded god. Baal sits beside. I can't think of their names now. Nisroch and who's the other one? Who's the serpent god? Oh, come on now. The Babylonian Trinity. That's what they call it. Babylonian snake god. Um, Nanazu? Is that the one? Let me try this one. Let me try Babylonian Trinity. Nimrod, Semiramis, and Tammuz. That's the one Babylonian Trinity. Where's the what are the three gods? What are their names? Baal is still the main one, the bearded one, the one that looks like Saturn, Kronos, Satan, Santa Claus, Santa Claus. Here comes a Santa Claus rolling with the bony knees. I get the Cheech Chong. That's hilarious. Still though, it's the same thing. It's over and over again. It's that symbology, that imagery that they constantly use over and over and over again. And it falls in line with the eagle gods, the Nisroch, and the snake gods, the plumed serpent god, which we've talked about before. It may not have been the devil, It was Satan that was in the Garden of Eden. Sure, Satan was a seraph. Seraph is a snake-like god. It may not have been like the true evil. It may not have been Baal that was in the Garden of Eden. There may be three of them. There may be more than one. I don't know. We're talking about little g gods. He fell with 72. Satan came down with 72 greater demons with him, and they all had a part. And Book of Enoch talks about how each one had a different thing. Gave man a different thing. But all of these gods line up with other cultures. They just call them different names, but they're the same gods, and they kind of do different things here, they do different things there, but it's all the same gods. It's all the same things. So we've learned, as we've gone through, that Baal is that great bearded, white, white-haired, white-bearded god, which again it gives you that impression of Santa Claus. Kronos, the great bearded god Kronos. They used to eat his children. Saturn. Saturn, the sixth planet. That's what they say. The great 666, the whole thing. It all fits together in this nice, neat little package that I'd call it diabolical, but that just seems like too much of a pun, it's crazy when you really, really dig down into it. But Baal, of course, Beelzebub, I cannot think of the other ones right now, but it's all been there. The prophets prophesied to Baal and walked after things that do not profit. They walk after it in vanity, profiting only themselves, but it does not profit them in the end. There is nothing there for them. It is only a temporary joy, fleeting vanity, if you want to go that way. I'm getting way off track. I know I am, and I could talk about this stuff for days. I just don't have time, so let's keep going. Verse 9, Wherefore I will yet plead with you, saith the Lord, and your children's children will I plead. For pass over the isles of Chittim, and see, and send unto Kedar, and consider diligently, and see if there be such a thing. Hath a nation changed their gods, which are yet no gods? But my people have changed their glory for that which doth not profit. Be astonished, O ye heavens, at this, and be horribly afraid. Be ye very desolate, saith the Lord. For my people have committed two evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, and hewed them out cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water. A lot of symbology going on there. Back up to verse 9, because there are a lot of pilcrows in this one. Wherefore I will yet plead with you, saith the Lord, and your children's children will I plead. We're at that point right now. He is opening up the eyes of the children's children. He cannot plead with our fathers anymore because they wouldn't listen. So he is pleading with us now. He is waking us up. There are a lot of people that are coming to the truth, and so many of them are finding the truth so much that they are turning to God. And it is a beautiful and amazing thing. It seems like it's happening slowly, but from what I understand, it's happening quicker and quicker. It's speeding up now. For pass over the isles of Chittim and see, and send unto Kedar, and consider diligently, and see if there is such a thing. I like going through, checking the names of these. We've had Kedar and Chittim before. For pass over the isles of Chittim, bruisers. The Greeks on the shores opposite of Palestine. And send unto Kedar is dark, dusky dark, the descendants of Kedar. It doesn't say where it is, though. For pass over the isles of Chittim and see, and send unto Kedar, and consider diligently, and see if there be such a thing. Hath a nation changed their gods, which are yet no gods? But my people have changed their glory for that which doth not profit. Hath a nation changed their gods, which are yet no gods? Change their gods, which are yet no gods. It's making me think. Hath a nation changed their gods, which are yet no gods? It makes you think of what I just said, the name game of calling gods different names. That is exactly what comes to my mind whenever I read that. Have they changed their gods that are no gods to a thing that are no gods, that are nothing, that profit them nothing? These are the same exact things that they were before. in a past time. They just changed the names. It's the same thing. You're following after demons that have been there for years. And it's nothing new. Nothing new under the sun. It's the same exact thing over and over again. It's just different names. But my people have changed their glory for that which doth not profit. It's the same thing that we were talking about before. Be astonished, O ye heavens, at this, and be horribly afraid. Be ye very desolate, saith the Lord. For my people have committed two evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, which a lot of people I have heard have said the fountain of living waters is actually us, bearing children, bearing more souls upon this land of bearing good fruit, bearing good children that can be raised up, and because the Lord finds pleasure in all of us. I've heard it that way before. Could actually literally be, forsaking me the fountain of living waters, because we all will drink of the fountain of living waters at the end of time. That's where the whole fountain of youth thing comes from. And hewed them out cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water. Then hewed them out cisterns that can hold no water. First, you've denied me water, and then you've given me a cistern to hold the water that is broken, that can't even hold it. Let's put it another way. You've committed two evils. First thing you've done is you've forsaken me the ability to, let's look at it like let's look at it like the blood of Christ. Drink this wine, for it is my blood. Let's look at it that way and say that this is the salvation, the purification. Remember that water is also a purification, that just about every prophet that God has had has gone through some kind of water at some point in time in order to purify themselves. It's that baptism. You've denied me that salvation, that goodness, that righteousness. And when you've promised me that salvation and righteousness, to put it into water, to give it to me, you've given it to me broken, and it has run out. You are lying about it working. You are telling me that you're making something that's good. It's like a joke coffee cup or something, where there's a hole in the lip, and whenever somebody drinks out of it, the liquid pours out of the bottom, the hole that's at the top, and it spills all over the person. Kind of like that. I'm sure there's probably another way to look at it, and I'm not the best person to be able to tell you exactly how it is, but that's what I'm getting out of it. He's denying it to you, and he's giving you false promises. They are committing those evils. He is denying that righteousness of God, denying that power, and at the same time spreading false lies, spreading false doctrines, false gods. And the only reason that you would spread the lies and the false doctrines, again, is because of vanity. No other reason. Why would you need to lie other than to make yourself sound better? Why would you lie to anyone? Truth is love. Lying is hatred. Hatred is vanity. Because that's all it is. That's your hate. That's what you have. So that's got to be part of it. There's got to be something to it there. There's connections there again, and I am I am not putting them together today in a way that makes too much sense, but we're going to keep going. I'm halfway through and I've only got 15 minutes. Verse 14, is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled? The young lions roared upon him and yelled, and they made his land waste. His cities are burned without inhabitants. Also the children of Noph and Tahapanes, is that right? Tahapanes, have broken the crown of thy head. Hast thou not procured this unto thyself, in that thou hast forsaken the Lord thy God, which he led thee by the way? And now, what hast thou to do in the way of Egypt, to drink the water of Sihor? Or what hast thou to do in the way of Assyria, to drink the waters of the river? Thine own wickedness shall correct thee, and thy backslidings shall reprove thee. Know therefore, and see that it is an evil thing and bitter, that thou hast forsaken the Lord thy God, and that my fear is not in thee, saith the Lord God of hosts. All right, back up to 14. It's. We'll see if we can read it slower to see if we can understand a little bit better. Is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled? The young lions. Now, of course, that one. Is Israel a servant? Why is he spoiled? I'll come back to that maybe. The young lions roared upon him and yelled, and they made his land waste. His cities are burned without inhabitants. Because he turned, because I told him, if he turns away from me, I cannot protect him. Also the children of Noph and Tahapanes have broken the crown of thy head. I am probably saying that wrong. So let's go ahead. What is it? The children of Noph. Presentability. Another name for Memphis, the capital of Egypt. Ooh. Tekef. Wait. Where is it? It is 4 syllables. Tahapanes. Thou wilt fill hands with pity. It's a city in Egypt. So these are both cities in Egypt, according to this. So where was it again? Also the children of Noph and Tahapanes have broken the crown of thy head. Hast thou not procured this unto thyself, in that thou hast forsaken the Lord thy God, when he led thee by the way? They broke a crown of your head. Hast thou not procured this unto thyself? And when you forsook the Lord, brought it on yourself. And now what hast thou to do in the way of Egypt, to drink the water of Sihor? Or what hast thou to do in the way of Assyria, to drink the waters of the river? What hast thou to do in the way of Egypt, to drink the waters? You brought this on yourself. The people of Egypt ruled over you. And now what do you have to do? What hast thou to do? What are you doing? But you're drinking the waters of Sihor. You're drinking the waters of Assyria. Because you had your freedom. You had your way. You had your place. And you brought it upon yourself by turning away from God. And now what are you doing? Look at you now. Thine own wickedness shall correct thee, and thy backsliding shall reprove thee. Know therefore and see that it is an evil thing and bitter, that thou hast forsaken the Lord thy God, and that my fear is not in thee, saith the Lord God of hosts. Every time we see the word fear, we have to look it up. Religious awe. It is not fear. It is not being afraid. You should never be afraid of God. It is respect, awe, reverence. That my reverence is not in thee. My being in awe of me. You don't have that. You don't have that because you turned, and thine own wickedness shall correct thee. You turned from me, and these things have fallen upon you. And Egypt, where you were, has come back and taken you over again. And now look at you. You were in a good place. You fled from the people that were keeping you captive. Now look at you. You've fallen so far behind. So why are you? Where are you now? Look at you. You're down there drinking the waters of the people that you ran away from in the first place. You're just back to where you started from. And that will correct you. Thy backsliding shall reprove you. That it is an evil thing that you have forsaken the Lord. And your reverence of God is not in you. But you've fallen. You've fallen so far. It's big, heavy words, I know. Some people can, you just read past that, and I'm sure there's probably somebody that could probably put it in a better way than I can. But that's what I'm getting. You didn't come here to get, the best commentary in the world, believe me. Came here to listen to some asshole talk about the Bible on some no-name YouTube channel. Verse 20. For of old time I have broken thy yoke and burst thy bands, and thou saidst, I will not transgress. When upon every high hill and under every green tree thou wanderest, playing the harlot. Yet I had planted thee a noble vine, wholly a right seed. How then art thou turned into the degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me? For though thou wash thee with nitre, and take thee much soap, yet thine iniquity is marked before me, saith the Lord God. How canst thou say, I am not polluted, I have not gone after Balaam? See thy way in the valley. Know what thou hast done. Thou art a swift dromedary, traversing her ways. A wild ass used to the wilderness, that snuffeth up the wind at her pleasure. In her occasion, who can turn her away? All they that seek her will not weary themselves. In her month they shall find her. Withhold thy foot from being unshod, and thy throat from thirst. But thou saidst, there is no hope. No, for I have loved strangers, and after them will I go. As the thief is ashamed when he is found, so is the house of Israel ashamed. They, their kings, their princes, and their priests and their prophets, saying to a stock, Thou art my father, and to a stone, Thou hast brought me forth. For they have turned their back unto me, and not their face. But in the time of their trouble they will say, Arise and save us. But where are thy gods that thou hast made me? Let them arise, if they can save thee in the time of thy trouble. For according to the number of thy cities are thy gods, O Judah. I know I'm butchering the hell out of this, but I mean it's a lot. 29. Wherefore will ye plead with me? Ye all have transgressed against me, saith the Lord. In vain have I smitten your children. They received no correction. Your own sword hath devoured your prophets like a destroying lion. Okay, that's a lot. I'm not going to cover every single bit of it, but there are some things I want to cover. Starting all the way back up at verse 20. For of old time I have broken thy yoke, and burst thy bands, and thou saidst, I will not transgress. when upon every high hill and under every green tree thou wanderest playing the harlot. For of old time I freed you. I freed you from the bondage and the misery of this world, and you said, I will not transgress. I will not walk away from you. But yet again, as soon as I turn my back, you're out there whoring and playing the harlot. It's the backsliding. You will profess his name one day, and then every other day after that, you will go off and be a whore in this world. Just so you can turn back around on that one day and say, Father, please forgive me for what I did. Just so you can turn back around and do it again. That's exactly what that says. Yet I planted thee a noble vine, wholly a right seed. How then art thou turned into the degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me? You will know them by the fruit they bear. For though thou wash thee with nitre, and take thee much soap, yet thine iniquity is marked before me, saith the Lord God. Even though you're clean, you ain't clean. How canst thou say, I am not polluted? I have not gone after Baalim. That's Baalim. See thy way in the valley. Know what thou hast done. Thou art a swift dromedary traversing her ways. Okay, what the hell is a dromedary? I'm sure that it's probably a whore. A young female camel. Okay, so it's a young female camel. I think we probably had that before. A wild ass. There's a semicolon there. So we're talking about, thou art a swift dromedary traversing her ways. A wild ass used to the wilderness, that snuffeth up the wind at her pleasure. In her occasion who can turn her way? All they that seek her will not weary themselves. In her month they shall find her. This is, it's a whore. You're going out there and you're putting... how do I want to put this? It's like a wild ass in heat. She's going to go out there and she's going to sniff around and dig around and just waiting for all the boys to come grab her up. In her month they shall find her. Withhold thy feet. Withhold thy foot from being unshod, and thy throat from thirst. But thou saidest, there is no hope. No, for I have loved strangers, and after them will I go. Which is another thing that we can talk about, but I don't have time. You always see it. The people of the Bible, especially the Israelites, they see the strangers having more fun than they do, and they say, ooh, I want to go do that. God keeps telling them, no, don't follow the strangers. Don't follow after what they do. Of course, nobody ever listens to God. It's where we are right now, though. We follow the strangers, and it's just, it's built and built and built to the point now that, everything is just so jackassy backwards, and everything is falling apart. And it is because no one has had the willpower to be able to stand up and say, no, I don't want to follow after that. I don't want to go do that. That seems like it's not the right way to go. And yet here we are. You've followed the stranger so much to the point now that we've allowed them to say that everything that you were before you started following us, that's wrong. We're the right way now. That's where we are as a society. As the thief is ashamed when he is found, so is the house of Israel ashamed. They, their kings, their princes, and their priests, and their prophets, saying to a stock, Thou art my father, and to a stone, Thou hast brought me forth. For they have turned their back unto me. and not their face, but in the time of their trouble, they will say, arise and save us. You've turned away from me, and so a stock, oh, there it is, saying to a stock, saying to a tree, saying to a tree, saying to a piece of wood, saying to those trees, those idols made of wood, the ones that Isaiah said that they like to grow specifically so that they could go out and chop them down and carve them up, those idols of wood that Jeremiah himself in a couple of chapters is going to talk about taking and chopping down and putting up in your house, decking them with silver and gold. Saying to a stock, to a piece of wood, thou art my father. Thou made me. The wood made me, because it is my God, please. And to a stone, thou hast brought me forth. A stone, a carving. Think about all those gods, all those Greek gods that they made all those statues to. Think about that for a second. Think about these things and how it works. Think about the supposed Native American gods that are on totem poles, wooden totem poles. Those are their gods. It's the same kind of thing. They make their gods out of wood and stone, and then they say, "You are my God, I worship you." For they have turned their back unto me, and not their face. In the time of their trouble they will say, arise and save us. Now, once everything goes to shit, they will be praying to God and asking him for forgiveness. Just as a side note, if some people agree with this, some people don't. I don't really care either way. But I see it for what it is. When you talk about making idols out of wood and out of stone, keep in mind that crucifix that you see in churches. Keep in mind what that means. I mean, yes, people want to look at that and say, that's Christ. Christ died for us. That's a thing. It is also an idol of wood. We do not worship idols in any way, shape, or form. We do not worship symbology. A lot of people have a problem with that, and I don't really care on the matter either way. I'm just saying that when it comes to things like that, you have to watch out what we're doing. A lot of that kind of idol worship inside of the churches came from the Catholic churches. And they worship the dead. So, you take it either way. 28, but where are thy gods that thou hast made thee? Let them arise. If they can save thee in the time of thy trouble, for according to the number of thy cities are thy gods, O Judah. Which, again goes back to the 40,000 different ways of looking at Christianity. I didn't want to do it this way, so I'm going to change the book to make it fit this way. Even myself, I could, somebody could look at me and say, well, see, you're interpreting the Bible in a certain way too, so you're making a I can't remember the name of what it is. You're making a different, thing of the Bible too. Well, I don't know. I'm just trying to find the truth. I'm just trying to find a truth here, because we don't know anything. Devil doesn't play fair. Who the hell said the devil's going to play fair? Yes, there are 40-something denominations. There we go. That was the word I was looking for. There are 40-something thousand denominations of Christianity, because the devil doesn't play fair. He's trying to wash the shit out of it to confuse you and manipulate you. And everybody thinks that they're right. It's so absurd. It is absolutely so absurd. I'm not right or I'm not wrong. I'm trying to decipher the Bible as best as I can. And even then, I don't have all the answers. I know for a fact I don't have all the answers because, again, we've inherited the lives of our fathers because they fell away and they allowed the strangers to come in. This is backtracking through the whole thing that we just read. They've allowed the strangers to come in and lie and manipulate and destroy it. And this is God coming back to us, trying to put us back on the right path. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to figure this out. Just like everybody else. It's the more I read this book, the more this book tells me that I have not been living in the right way, the right path, the right existence that we have been lied to for years and years and years. The number of thy cities are thy gods. The number of thy denominations are thy gods. Wherefore will ye plead with me? Ye all have transgressed against me, saith the Lord. In vain have I smitten your children. They received no correction. Your own sword hath devoured your prophets like a destroying lion. You have just let things fall completely apart. All right, so this is the home stretch. We got to get through this because I got stuff I got to do. Verse 31. O generation, see ye the word of the Lord. Have I been a wilderness unto Israel, a land of darkness? Wherefore say my people, we are lords. We will come no more unto thee. Can a maid forget her ornaments, or a bride her attire? Yet my people have forgotten me days without number. Why trimmest thou thy way to seek love? Therefore hast thou also taught the wicked ones thy ways. Also in thy skirts is found the blood of the souls of the poor innocents. I have not found it by secret search, but upon all these. Yet thou sayest, because I am innocent, surely his anger shall turn from me. Behold, I will plead with thee, because thou sayest, I have not sinned. Why gaddest thou about so much to change thy way? Thou also shalt be ashamed of Egypt, as thou wast ashamed of Assyria. Yea, thou shalt go forth from him, and thy hands upon thine head. For the Lord hath rejected thy confidences, and thou shalt not prosper in them. Oh boy. Back up to 31. We'll see if we can get through this. Yeah. O generation, see ye the word of the Lord. Have I been a wilderness unto Israel, a land of darkness? Wherefore say my people, we are lords. We will come no more unto thee. Have I been a wilderness? Have I been a land of darkness? No. I've always been right there. I've always been there waiting. Have I been a place that you could not find? No. God has always been right there. He's always been right there. It's so stupid. People say, have you found God? Have you found Christ? Have you found him? He ain't lost. He's right there. Have you accepted God? Have you accepted Christ? This isn't about finding anything. This is about you being found. This is about you accepting the word. You're not finding anybody. He's not lost. He's never lost. He's always been right there in front of your face. Everybody likes to say that the word of God will go out to all the people and that they will know his name. Well, we're pretty close to that. Everybody has the chance to know. I don't know how the kids get it, but the kids get it. Somehow the kids get it. They have the opportunity. Whether they take it or not, that's up to them. But so many people know at this point that the word is out there everywhere, and you get the choice. Wherefore say my people, we are lords, and we will come no more unto thee, because we are vanity. We are gods. Think about all those preachers now that say that you are the gods. You are the little g gods. You have God in you. That was a big thing there for a while, too. So many people, or so many of these preachers that I was hearing were constantly saying, you are God. You got God in you. That we are gods. Can a maid forget her ornaments, or a bride her attire? Yet my people have forgotten me days without number. Can a bride forget her attire? We are the bride. How can the bride forget her attire? How can a maid forget her ornaments? How can you forget God? He's always been right there. And yet, they forgot him without numbers. How can it happen? But it happens. Why trimmest thou thy way to seek love? Therefore hast thou also taught the wicked ones thy ways. Think about that one for a second. Therefore hast thou also taught the wicked ones thy ways. And you wonder why people say that Satan uses the Bible against you. And there's so many people that say, well, no, Satan can't work against Satan. Yes, Christ said Satan can't work against Satan. I get that. He can't put out himself. He can't put out the devil. I get that. The devil doesn't play fair. He has found a way, and this is something I have not talked about. This is something I'm still formulating in my head. The devil has found a way to make two groups of people that seem to be good and seem to be evil. And these two groups of people can change that goodness or badness either way. So that the devil is not putting himself out. He's letting people of God come in, put the devil out on one side, but on the other side, the devil's moving in to take over. And then it shifts. It shifts around. It shifts back and forth to where you don't know who's good and who's evil anymore. It's a division. It's a division of mentalities. It's how the devil keeps, it's how Satan keeps things, keeps us against each other. He's found a way to do it. This is something I've been formulating in my head for a while now, and I'm trying to find the right way to do it, or the right way to say it. But in order to follow the words of Christ, where it says that the devil cannot put himself out, he's found a way to make good Christians put out evil people on one side, so that he can manipulate the other side to turn it back around. It's a kind of a hard way to understand it, but basically he keeps the two groups fighting each other slowly but surely. There might be 4 or 5 more groups too, if you want to put it that way, but you never really know where the true evil is, so that you can't put it out completely. It's always it's like a cyclical. It flows in a cycle now. It's the Ouroboros. It's the snake eating its own tail. It doesn't go anywhere. It's just consuming itself constantly over and over again. It's symbology. So thou hast also taught the wicked ones thy ways. So you went out, told those people of Balaam that worship Baal, that worship all these other gods, you went out there and you taught them how to worship their gods like me. So that now, not only are you not following my ways, not only have you followed the ways of the heathen, you're teaching them how to worship their gods like me. That's how you get Christmas. That's how you get Easter. That's how you get Valentine's Day. That's how you get Halloween. Is you take the most evil things in the world, put a pretty friendly face on it, Some of those, you can even put a pretty friendly face of God on it. Call it something else, and then worship it that way. That's what that says, word for word. You've gone out and you've taught them, you've taught the wicked ones thy way, thy ways. I can't even say anything else more than that. You cannot put Christ in Christmas and expect a pagan ritual to become holy. It's not how this works. You can't do it. You taught them, that's what this says, you taught them your ways. Now, even the basic, most simplest ways, the evil ones know. That's how they know, because you taught them. That's how they know how to manipulate and destroy you, because you taught them. Okay. Verse 34, also in thy skirts is found the blood of the souls of the poor innocents. I have not found it by secret search, but upon all these. It's not secret anymore. The blood of the souls of the poor innocents. What does that mean? That's sacrifice. That's sacrifice. Come on, people. That's sacrifice. The Bible does not, I mean, it says it, sure, but it doesn't come out and say it completely all the time. The blood of the innocents, that's sacrifice. I just had to tell somebody today, somebody showed a picture of Abraham killing his son, and there was an angel that was pulling a goat out of a bush. And I had to tell him, do you know why Abraham fell for that? Because Abraham was pulled out of a culture that used to sacrifice their own children. And God had to do that to show Abraham that he was a God of love, not a God of death. Because Abraham would have sacrificed his children either way. He didn't want to. I think it's probably why God pulled him out of there, because God saw it. He said, you are a good man. You are a holy man. You're going to be the rock upon which I build my bride, my church, my whatever. Or not the church, but, my bloodline. Your bloodline that will eventually become Christ, that will become the Savior of the world. I can see that you are it. So I will pull you out of this mess, and I will show you that you don't have to sacrifice children in order to find anything in this world. I will show you something better, something far better than this. You want to sacrifice something? You want to think that, sacrificing animals means anything in this world at all? There probably is. There's probably still some kind of a spiritual aspect to it, because there's a spiritual aspect to sacrificing humans, because evil people seem to be getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah, the evil of this world gets bigger and bigger and bigger because they're sacrificing humans. So there's got to be some kind of a spiritual aspect to sacrificing animals. So God said, no, you don't have to do it. Don't have to sacrifice your kid. Sacrifice this. Sacrifice a goat. I will give you something better. I will give you something better than this. He didn't even blink. Abraham didn't even blink. Oh, God wants me to go up and kill my kid on top of a mountain. That's exactly what he did till he went up to the top of a mountain, which is exactly where God says all these people go. And he says, no, don't do that. You're going to come all the way up here and sacrifice your kid? No, I'm not that God. I'm the true God. I don't require the sacrifice for your children. Your children are going to create my kingdom. Just throwing that out there. Blood of the innocents. Why gaddest thou about so much? This is verse 36. Why gaddest thou about so much to change thy way? Thou also shalt be ashamed of Egypt, as thou wast ashamed of Syria. Because remember, you went through all this trouble to get out of Egypt, and now look at you. You're down there drinking the waters out of the rivers of Egypt. You're down there drinking the waters out of the rivers of Assyria. Well, there you are, all back in a bus and shit. That's a thing from Chronicles of Riddick, by the way. That's not a. That's some people are like, oh, is that a racist thing? No, it's not. It's whenever they captured Riddick and um, they were making fun of him. Oh, you used to be the biggest badass in the world. Now look at you, all back in a bus. Why gaddest thou so much to change thy way? Thou also shalt be ashamed of Egypt, as thou wast ashamed of Assyria. Yea, thou shalt go forth from him, and thine hands upon thine head, for the Lord hath rejected thy confidences, and thou shalt not prosper in them. All right, there was a lot to unpack there, and the saddest part is I'm not going to remember half of it. Like there's so much of it that I want to remember, and I should start like underlining some of this stuff because there's some serious stuff going on in there. But this is how these books were. This is how I remember these books as I was listening to them as I was working. Is that they called out so much garbage, and then you read through them again. And you get all of these things, and you get this understanding that, God was putting it to him. He was saying, you're going to be like this. You're wanting to be like this. You've fallen away from me as far as you can. You've gone to the point, and I missed this the first time, but once I see this now, you got to the point to where you taught the wicked ones your ways. That you've let them do this, and now they're using your teachings against you. And then you get to like Ezekiel, where it starts saying that these people that, behind the temples, in the crack of the wall, you can see them praying to the east, inside of their own temples. I don't know if I'm going to get zapped by YouTube for even saying this or not. We've been watching Jack Ryan on Amazon, and they're fighting against Muslim terrorists. And the more I see of the practices of Muslims, the more I see the Catholic influence. It has been rumored, and I don't know whether it's true or not. It has been rumored that it was either one way or the other, that the Muslim faith influenced Catholic faith, or the Catholics invented the Muslims. One way or the other. But they're so similar that that's not natural. I don't know exactly how else to say that. But there's something to it. And of course, they all steal a little bit from the Bible. Why do they steal it from the Bible? Well, let's see. Jeremiah 2, where was it at? Jeremiah 2:33 says it right there. You taught the wicked ones your own ways. And they took it and they ran with it. You taught the wicked ones their own ways. If it went one way, then it was the Catholics, you taught the Muslims how to worship God. So what happened was they took all these things that they used to do, worshiping the dead, wearing the hats on their heads, having the prayer beads, all these other things, worshiping the sun, and they mixed it with very sorry, I didn't get the mute button in time. They mixed it with all the things that they had. Now, I'm not saying that every Catholic in the world is terrible. There are a lot of Catholics out there that just want to worship God. I get that. I get that. But they're being influenced by their priests and their pastors who are not doing the true will of God. And there are probably just some Muslims that they just want to, they want to try to find their way as well. But they can't see it either, that the traditions that they have are so similar to Catholic traditions. That's probably why the Catholic Church is going out of their way to push this one world religion thing. Because they invented it, probably. Well, okay, I won't say they invented it. I kind of got a feeling who invented it, but you can't really talk about the family when you are on YouTube because you get pulled. I don't even think you could talk about the family on like Odyssey or Brighteon. By the way, I hit my 50 video mark on Brighteon, so I can't post on Brighteon anymore until I get more views. So it's just one place that one less upload I have to do per day. Apparently, they have a limit. You can only post so many videos if you have so many views. I think I need like 300 more views. I don't know if I can actually watch my own videos in order to get views or not. I'm not going to do that though. It sounds stupid, but I don't even know. We can't talk about the family. And yes, I refer to them as a family as if they are the mafia because that's what they are. They're the mafia. It's the the family. You don't cross the family. The family doesn't eat its own. Whenever you see anyone that will go out there and put their ass in their in the face of the far left liberals and act like he's doing something, pushing people down and pushing people around and getting spit on and all this other kind of crap, and yet he won't call out the family when it comes time. The family doesn't eat its own. Oh, we know who we're talking about. Alex Stein, we know who we're talking about. The family doesn't eat its own. I'm just telling you the truth. It is what it is. They're called gatekeepers for a reason. They only give you so much truth, and then when it comes time to really hear the full truth, they will stop and shut you down. That's exactly what he did. As soon as somebody said the old J word, he shut it down immediately. Oh, no, we can't talk about them anymore. Okay, see you later. Click. Family doesn't eat its own. Just saying. All right, I got to go. I got to get ready for work. God bless you all. Take care of yourselves. I love every one of you. We're just trying to figure this out. But I'll tell you what, man. Therefore hast thou also taught the wicked ones thy ways. And there were some other ones in there too. I'm a rag on Christmas all the way up until the beginning of the year. All the way up until the beginning of what they say is the beginning of the year. All the way up until January 1st, I'm a rag on Christmas because I can. Because it's my platform. I'm going to do what I want. That's exactly what that is. You taught them your ways. They meddled in your following after them. You taught them your ways. Therefore, you were the one that diluted what's going on. You wanted to worship a golden cow and say that it was for God. That's exactly what God said. You wanted to do that for me. What happened then? 3,000 dead, just like that. And now you want to talk about going out and worshiping a tree, cutting a tree out of the forest, bringing it into your house, decking it with silver and gold, and saying it's for Christ. Ooh, I'm going to paint eggs for Christ. Ooh, go away, man. I love you all. Take care of yourselves. I shall see you all later.